Hey guys, Zane here at the historic Hughes House on the Oregon coast. Oh, we'll go and check it out. Okay guys, we're going in the front door. This is where you check in, give a little donation.
House.
And I got my narrator behind me. She's going to tell you about this place.
Well, I'll introduce you to here, right here on the fireplace mantel right here. I'll introduce you to Patrick Hughes and Jane O'Neill Hughes. They were both from a small county, Tyrone in Ireland, where they did not know each other. And they both came over and immigrated to Boston, Massachusetts, where they met. They met in 1850 and married in 1853.
Fantastic.
So they came over to San Francisco here, where Patrick wanted to look for gold. So Patrick did not have any success with that, so they decided to settle right here, where he did a government program called homesteading. So Patrick got his first 83 acres closer to the ocean over here, where he became a dairy farmer. So he had 100 head of dairy, Holstein and Jersey cows. And he became a dairy farmer with making butter and shipping 25-pound crates to San Francisco and selling the rest of the milk to the local Irish cheese factories. So
fantastic.
They settled down here closer to the ocean here, and they had a small house out that way for 38 years where they raised 9 children, 7 to adulthood.
Wow.
So large family, Irish family as usual. So they were out there for 38 years, where Patrick grew his 83 acres to 2,000 acres.
Wow.
At the time. So in 1898, they decided to build this big, beautiful retirement home that you see here with a builder called P.J. Lindbergh. So P.J. Lindbergh was very modern. So this house is 3,000 square feet, 11 rooms, at the cost of $3,800.
Back in that time, 3,800?
Yes. So they brought when they built this home, they brought their 3 older sons with them. This is the dining room right here. You can see the beautiful pass-through right there. The wallpaper is all dated to Jane's time period, 1898 to 1923.
Well, this looks pretty remarkable here. This is really
beautiful.
nice.
That's my favorite wallpaper. This is where she would feed her hands. She had a barn and a bunkhouse behind the house here, where her hands would help. They had to milk the cows twice a day by hand.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. So this is the men's parlor right here. This is where Patrick Hughes and his sons would do the business. And this is also where the hands would come in and wash up and come in this door and wait to be called into dinner.
Wow.
So this big beautiful fireplace you see here is original too, to the house.
It almost looks like real firewood in there.
It does. Don't get too close, you'll get burned. So the picture that you see above here is about 1915.
Oh, don't worry.
Yes. And
You can stand in the background.
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And if you look over here into the corner, you can see the original chimney of the house that was built. They did a plexiglass for you so you can get a little picture of it.
Wow, that's pretty neat. An old map, I guess.
That's the Oregon Trail, yes. It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Yes. And if you look over here on the desk, you'll see original paperwork to the family. There's cigar receipts from the Shilling Company, spices and different things. This piece right here is Cape Blanco Creamery with a PH on it, you can see. Excuse me. At the time, you did not put your last name on there because he was an Irish immigrant.
And they don't like the Irish immigrants, huh?
They would treated the immigrants poorly. So these are the 3 sons that came into the house. Edward, college educated, and he educated his siblings. That's Thomas. He's the modern one, liked to bring modern things. And this is Francis, who married Annie. Annie was the last living relative to be in the house. He was the bookkeeper.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got his fishing creel here.
Yeah, he does.
And there's old Abe.
Those old Abe.
And I want to look at this thing over here. This is
That's beautiful, and it has the
Your
Hughes'
encyclopedia.
original ledgers and all their neighbors they dealt with here. And of course, the Sears Roebuck. That was from 1902, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
1902 and 1927.
Looks like in pretty good shape.
Yeah, we've got ones over here. This beautiful phonograph that you see was donated by Patrick Masterson. His grandmother was one of the Hughes daughters, Alice Masterson. So he was from Port Orford and he donated this beautiful phonograph right here. You can see it's all one-sided, very heavy records that you have here. The phonograph does itself.
Yeah,
does
Victoria, or Victoria.
Victrola.
Victoria.
Yes, exactly.
Say it again?
Victrola.
I got a couple of these.
Yes.
And
It's
it-
missing the big speaker from it, and the gears are not working as usual, so that's the sad part about it. And of course, you have your Sears Roebuck right here. You can get a washing machine for $5.75, only 11 cents a week.
Wow.
And Jane Hughes has one in her washing room.
Okay, we're going to another room in the house.
This is the master bedroom. This was Jane and Patrick's room up until Jane passed in 1923. This is Jane Hughes right here. She was 89 years old and she passed the following year at 90.
Okay.
And this is her about the age of 20 when she married Patrick Hughes. Very serious. So if you look to your left, right here, I'll pull this door open for you. These are original wallpaper to the home. When the park system put in sheetrock and everything, they saved a beautiful area for you. You can see the Port Orford cedar on the bottom. Yes, the first is the lighter, and that's Jane Hughes's. And then the upper one is darker, but that would be Annie Hughes's wallpaper.
Oh, wow.
When Jane passed away, Annie and Frances moved into this room because she needed to be near the kitchen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the kitchen is the hub of the house. So if you go in through here,
Look at the clock.
beautiful clock, isn't it?
Yeah, let me look at this thing a little better here. It's got some kind of, I don't know what it has on there. I thought it was a mermaid at first, but I guess it's. Well, she's got a sickle in her hand.
She does. So you can see the beautiful 10-foot ceilings here. Those are also are a sign of wealth here.
Wow, this is way high.
To get the big beautiful windows that you see in here. All the windows in the whole house are the same size. Because back then you didn't get to tell what size you wanted, you just bought what they had. But this is a huge sign of wealth also.
You gotta say, this looks pretty, if this is original furniture, this thing looks great shape.
All the furniture that you see in the house is not original to the family because it was basically abandoned after 1965 or so. Yes, in 1971 the state parks bought it. By then it was about 1,800 acres, right around there. Back in 1898, this was a huge sign of wealth here. Most people did not have these in their homes. In 1898, P.J. Lindbergh tapped a spring off the top of a mountain right here, and through wood flumes, he brought water to the home. Most people had outhouses. They would go outside to use the restroom, but Jane here had a beautiful indoor restroom. And if you look up to the top ceiling, you'll see a painted ceiling up here.
Wow.
This is one of two in the house. We're not sure of the origin of this.
Yeah, it's still pretty neat, pretty nice.
It's pretty neat. So this base that you see right here, this is original to the home also. B.J. Lindbergh built this base so that they could get this big, beautiful stove in here. You know how everybody wants an island in their home?
Right?
Jane had one in 1898.
That's amazing. This thing's awesome.
It's huge. And at this time it came from a company from San Francisco, Geo H. Tay and Company out of San Francisco. You could still find that information about this company. So this at the time was very modern. This was a big deal. So you have these big 3 rings in here that she could use for different sizes of pots and pans. And down over here, they had an airflow system. This was their temperature gauge of the time.
Fantastic.
This
is really neat.
You could put more air in, less air in. Anybody want a muffin ready for your dinner? So if you look down on the floor down over here, you'll see these markings right here. This is where they had their water barrel here, where they would heat up their water, so they always had warm water. The beautiful tin can lids that you see there are marked because when they would have a source of softness in the floor, they would just put a lid over it, nail it on there, and call it good to go. Yes.
Wow. This is really a big kitchen.
It is 6 doors leading out to each area, you can see.
They actually had indoor plumbing.
They did, and if you can see on the wall right there, that is gas.
That's, I could tell
They
that,
had
that
they
is
had
gas.
gas in here, which was, you had to be very careful with this. That
I'm
is,
sure they didn't have this.
no, they did not. So do you see right there, this is Father John, one of the sons in an Irish family. One of the sons would usually go into the priesthood. So they had a son here, and they were very proud of him. And that is Joseph Hughes when he graduated from high school.
Wow, he the one son that's a priest, the father, he looks pretty familiar. I wonder if he was a little bit famous.
I'm not sure. He had a church in Portland.
Oh,
So these are the 2 daughters in the family. They were grown already. This is Alice right here. She married into the Mastersons. And Mary married into the Mullen family, who were a famous cheese factory outside of Langnois right here. Lots of wood to be had. So they did have also a cold cellar underneath the whole floor of the kitchen.
really? Where's that?
We have no access to it,
Oh,
but if
okay.
you could see, it used to be through here, behind the door. Yeah. I
Mary,
did
get down in there. Give me some wood.
get some wood. Yes.
Okay, which way you want to go now?
I'll show you the pantry right here.
Okay.
This was the pantry right here, and if you look on the floor, you can see it was so worn and so well loved that they had to reinforce the floor there.
And that's from them doing that, or?
Yes, it's from going in and out, in and out. And approximately about 5 weeks ago, Joseph's daughter came into the door, which is Frances and Annie Hughes's granddaughter, walked in the door and she told us stories as we went through the house. It was amazing.
Wow.
She said Annie loved this kitchen here. She would use it, and all her utensils and everything. She loved the pantry.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of room in this place. You know,
There is.
more
Yes.
than some modern places. I mean, this is amazing.
Jane Hughes was 65 years old when she built this home. And this is the dining room, of course.
There's the other side. We saw this earlier, but you can see it again.
It's beautiful.
It's
You see all
awesome.
the china in the hutch there that was donated by wonderful families that didn't know what to do with their china, so they're now letting us use them.
I could imagine that originally what kind of table they had in here. It must have just been.
A huge,
Just-
not rectangle, but it was oval. And what she would do, she would cook in here and pass it through this window, and she would call them by groups, and the hands would come in and she would feed them, and then she'd shoo them right back out that door. Because she didn't want a whole bunch of people traipsing through her house. They're her big, beautiful home here. So here we have an icebox. We are positive that the Hughes family didn't have this until maybe the early 30s. If you look over here, you put your ice in the top here, and then you would put your items inside of here, and the ice would drain in the hole, and you would have to drain the drawer
Right.
at least once to twice a day. So the Hughes family didn't have this right away because we didn't have streets or roads that we did back then. Highway 101 didn't even come through until 1924. So we're thinking maybe the early 30s or so when the roads got better.
Wow.
So Jane didn't get to use it, but
What's that? Is that like a closet?
this is a closet here. This is underneath our stairs.
Okay.
And you can look up in there, and there's a lot of the 2x8s that you can see up in the top, what they used. The fire marshal said, framing's good to go.
Stairs and just see what's up on the second floor.
So you see this wood that you see right here is the only wood in the house that has been imported. This is mahogany, and it's imported from San Francisco.
Wow, it's
So very solid.
super smooth.
Two
Come on back here to the men's parlor. This was just a closet back in the day.
So these are 2 spines on each step, which is unusual.
Oh yeah.
So as you go
There's
up,
2 on each
2
one.
spines on each one. It's very, very wide, and the depth on the stairs are huge. So as you come up, I was telling you about one of the sons is a priest.
Yes.
They were very proud of his son John. So they had a chapel built here. Father John was the 2nd ordained minister in the state of Oregon. So this is his chapel right here. When he would come from Portland, they would have their services in here. That is the 2nd painted ceiling that you see right there.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
It almost looks, it's supposed to be wispy clouds. It almost looks
It is.
angel-like.
Exactly. That was kind of the idea right there. And I think that's a great idea.
Wow.
So to your right was Edward's room. Edward was the oldest in the family. It is the smallest room, but
It's still pretty big.
he still had his reasonings. He could see out to the ocean. He
Oh, I can see the ocean, but you guys probably can't on the video.
he also the chimney of the kitchen would come up and would heat this room up. So he was very smart. And in those 2 closets, which back then a closet was a big deal. You didn't have closets. You had armoires and things like that. But in that closet on the left, there was a laundry chute and a dumbwaiter. So, yes, he got to just throw his laundry down the chute.
Wow. This is so neat. So neat. It's a pretty good sized room when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
Is there more here?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if you go up here and on to the right, we'll have Thomas's room. Thomas was the modern inventor, and he would bring beautiful things home for his mother and for Annie, his sister-in-law.
Oh, this is a big room.
This, as you see, has no closet in there. Back then, most rooms did not have closets, but a few of these do and do not.
See about that. It has the nice tall ceilings though.
It does. 10-foot ceilings. The flooring is original. Douglas first straight grain.
Very nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So you come in here. This is the guest room.
Oh my God, they got more down here left.
Yes. There's all kinds in this house. Beautiful home. This was the guest room, and at times when Father John would come, this is the room he would stay in.
Father John had a nice room. Look at the size of this thing.
Yes.
Look at the size of this thing. I just love the high ceilings they have here.
It is all the wainscoting, the wallpapering, and everything.
Very historic. Okay, now we're gonna go down
We're going to go down here to the river room.
the river room.
This room was originally, this is a closet, but a half bath now.
Oh, okay.
Not open to the public because the plumbing cannot handle it.
This
This
is
is the river room. That's Francis that you see on the picture there. Francis and Annie lived in here when they first married in 1905, and they had the only child that was raised in this home, their son Joseph. You can see the cradle over there. It's a beautiful
there it
room
is.
too. What do you think about that bed?
it looks a little lumpy.
A little comfy mattress there?
Is that what it is? It looks like 2 people are on, they roll off each side.
I know.
But boy, this
It
my
is
wife wouldn't like that, but I would.
the old-fashioned
Too soft for her.
mattress is underneath that where they stuffed it so it would raise up like that.
Oh, I could just sink in that and fall asleep like a baby.
Night, night.
Very nice, very nice. Okay. And we're gonna go down here. I think there's at least one more room left, right?
There is. This is the child's room. This one does have a closet in it. This is my favorite room here. I just love the alcove that you have right there that brings in some natural light into the home.
Yes.
So this was Francis and Annie's son, Joseph's room.
Wow, this is, every room's got their own nice natural lighting.
If you look down and there's the toys, that's an old-fashioned erector set with all the little metal pieces in it.
Well, the kid had a big room.
He did.
He even had his own bedpan.
His chamber pot. That's what they used back in the days before they had plumbing.
Right.
You had a chamber pot in each room, and if you were cold and in the winter, you did not go outside or go downstairs. It was just so cold, so you would use a chamber pot.
Wow. Well, thank you for the wonderful tour.
You're welcome. There's a couple more rooms I'd like to show you downstairs.
Oh, hey, folks, we'll be right back.
So I'm going to bring you into here. This was the mudroom, washroom. This is where the hands would come in the door right here and they would wash at the sink right here. And back then, of course, you did not have your plumbing. The house got plumbing and electricity in 1942.
So none of this was here. It was some kind of other...
It was that sink.
Oh, it was that
And
sink?
this is an original porcelain sink that you see right here, minus the plumbing, of course. And they added that in 1942.
It's amazing.
So if you look out that window over there across the river is this big beautiful house across the river. That's the Sweet Ranch. In 1909, James Hughes, the lighthouse keeper who you see to your right here is a picture of him. He had this house built for him and his wife and 2 daughters. James was the lighthouse keeper for 38 years here at Cape Blanco Lighthouse.
Wow.
So that is a working ranch across the way. The Sweet family bought that before the state parks bought this land. They had bought about 200 acres from the Hughes family. They just redid that home to James Hughes' original.
I can see the river running through there too.
Yes, that's the Sixes River right there. It goes out and goes to the ocean right over here. So this is the house being built in 1898. And this is the reason that we are still here, is this piece of wood right here. This is Port Orford cedar 2x8. If you look, this is what we use to build our homes. Quite different, not even an original 2x4. So if you are outside on this big, beautiful home here, you have outside these beautiful, what they call fish scales. This is what they would do. They would nail one to here, and then they would nail one on this side, and you would get these beautiful circle patterns, which they called fish scales.
Huh.
It's on the outside. It's all cedar shingles.
I see the pattern from outside when I look at this. I can see them.
And right here you have the original fire forged here square nails. They are square. Yes, built in this fire forged here. That is the original porcelain sink in that piece.
Okay, fantastic.
So as you go to your left right here, this is the laundry room / mud room. On your wall here, we've got some pictures of people in the area that are still leasing this property and doing cattle. This is Robert and Georgina McKenzie here. We met their great-great-grandson on the side of the road about a month and a half ago, and he was moving cattle like his great-great-grandfather had done since 1874. Very cool story. That's the sweet home that you see across there.
Right.
So these right here, this is the family tree.
Okay.
This is Jane and Patrick at the top.
Okay.
And you see a firstborn, they lost 2 of their sons. John died the firstborn at 9. And Edward, James, and Alice, and they lost their 5th born, Joseph, at 5. And this is, of course, Father John, Mary, Thomas, and Francis. After Jane had 7 sons, most of her offspring had girls.
Oh.
So James had 2 girls, Mary had 5 girls, and the only one to bring down the family name would be Joseph Hughes, and unfortunately he died young at 46.
Oh, okay.
So
They all have nice mustaches.
Yes, they
except
do.
for John.
John was, and you can tell, and a lot of my guests tell me that James Hughes looks like Billy the Kid.
Oh.
What do you think?
Yes, I do think. Look at this guy.
He looks like Billy the
That's
Kid.
Billy the Kid.
Yes. And those mustaches must have taken some wax on those things. So if you look right here, this is the home that we're in. This right here is the original home.
Right there.
Right there, there's one in the back. They were out there for 38 years. And Alice, their fourth-born Alice, their daughter, lived in that home with her husband and 2 children until she died in 1929. This was the church that was out at the cemetery out there. Unfortunately, is no longer there. In 1962, the great Columbus Day storm took it out.
Oh.
Yes.
That's where they had 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, 150, yes.
Oh, man.
So the one below here, you can see the bunkhouse in the barn that was behind the house. That is unfortunately all gone off of the house. That's where their hands were. And I found out, some people assumed that her hands were Irish. They were not. They were Chinese. They were. Yes, they had, of course, built all of our trains, all of our railroads through the area.
Right.
So they needed somewhere to be and somewhere to work too. So they were all here until World War II came and everybody went to war. So all the clothes that you see right here, these are handmade by our local Heritage Society, except for Father John's outfit right here, and all the other clothes that you see, the locals would come in and they would act small skits for the family as the Hughes, and they would entertain the guests with these.
There's some more old pictures up there.
Yes, this is how they would farm their land, and they would travel from here to Bandon up the Sixes River, hunting and fishing and trading.
Kind of looks like my mom's old picture. Not that it looked like my mom, but that's the kind of picture she used to take.
Beautiful black and white ones
very
here.
serious.
Yes. So, if you look down here, this was a very modern item at the time. This right here, if anyone like to do a load of laundry, you're welcome.
Oh, okay. I first wasn't sure.
You would put your clothes and some water in here, and you sit. This is the rocker washer. If you look right here, she would sit in her rocker. This was very modern at the time. So she would rock it back and forth like this, and then this piece would turn down and squeeze it, and out the side right here, water would come. It's corked right now, but it's pretty cool.
It is.
It's better than this on the wall.
The old
way, yes.
Howard
About
Manufacturing.
5 weeks ago, I had Francis and Annie's granddaughter come in the door, and she told me the story of this wall right here. This wall where it's missing was a sink, and she told me she was confused as a 7-year-old. Her grandma Annie would put all her whites in the sink, and she would put an item called bluing onto the clothes, and she was confused why someone would name something bluing that turned things white.
I'm confused.
Yes, it was an item they used to bring out the white bright. Apparently in the military and the Navy use it still on their clothes, on their uniforms.
So that's like a chemical.
Yes, it was.
Like a detergent or something at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, do a little fishing, it looks like.
Oh yeah.
Or just traveling. They'd probably just travel. Pretty nice.
All over, yes. You can see the original fences around the house. And it used to have a white fence all the way around the house. And part of that at the entrance is still standing. Right there. So it's very cool. Wonderful history here.
Well, thank you again. This was fantastic.
You're welcome. We love it. It's a wonderful history lesson and everything in life and immigration and all that. So it's very cool. So here we have Mary McMullen, who married Frank McMullen. And in 1938, the McMullens were a wealthy family from New York. And Mary was given the money to exhume the bodies of her parents and 4 of her siblings out of the Pioneer Cemetery here in Cape Blanco.
Ew, what for?
She exhumed their bodies and put them into Portland, Oregon. We assume it has to do with Father John here, who had a church in Portland. So she exhumed the bodies, so they are no longer here local.
Hey.
Yes, and the story is that she exhumed the bodies of the McMullins in the area and put them on a train back to Connecticut.
Dang.
That's wild. We have no idea why or what the story is behind it, but she had her reasons.
And she had the power to do it.
She sure did, yes. She exhumed the bodies of her parents, her two siblings that passed away, and Alice and James.
She could probably start one with you in the main parlor. Okay?
Wow.
Wow.
Somebody giving me a tour.
We're going to take a look at the outside of the house now that the tour is over. Here's what she was showing us, how they're laying the wood over one side to the other. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool how they did that. We got a little wind going. And here's the back stairs. And actually, it's another porch up here. It's pretty nice. Pretty cool. Very informative tour with our tour guide, Carrie. And as always, if you guys like this video, please subscribe. See you next time.